Here's what 60 days free to play looks like, the wins, the mistakes, the regrets, and whether I learned anything from the first 30 days. In the first 30 days, I did a whole video and I asked this question: did I mess up? Did I make a big mistake? And now at 60 days, I have the answers. In this video, we're gonna break down what a free to play account looks like in 60 whole days. I also have a report card to share with you, which I also provided during my 30-day report and breakdown. We're gonna go over all of this and what it means for this account and whether or not I feel like we're actually on track to continuing to have a really stand-up freaking free-to-play account. Also where we slipped up a little bit. We'll break this all down here, but if you're thinking about starting a new Raid Shadow Legends account, whether because you just found out about this game or if you are thinking about just starting a secondary alt account, I've got the perfect way for you to start. Hold up, now it's time to click my link in the description below so that you can get yourself a free Karato, as well as 3 other insane epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Play and Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Don't miss out on your chance to get a free Karato right after signing up, as well as Anax, Uugo, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. Click on my link right now and let's crush this together. Hi, hello, my name is Fail, and we're going to be focusing in on free to play newer players. 60 days. 60 days is a good milestone. I feel like the first 30 days, you're kind of starting to get through that initial challenge fest. First 30 days are kind of like you're treading water. Legitimately, you're just grinding like crazy, trying to get through, figure out the game, and get all of your ducks in a row, okay? Main priority of the first 30 days is Arbiter missions and your first 6-star champion. Maybe even your second. The 60 days is where you can kind of start to have a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more fun, be a little bit more strategic with how you use your resources, and start to kind of play the game a little bit more openly. We'll talk about how that is. But let's talk about this girl here, okay? In the past videos, I called her a toddler or a baby, okay, because she was little. I feel like 60 days in, we're a little bit over 60 days, by the way. I was supposed to record this last week, but I got sick, so please forgive me. We're like a week later than where it should be, but it's still pretty close. So it'll give you a good idea of where you could be at 60 days. She's graduated from toddler, just learning how to walk, and now, you know, she's in her really naughty, not so nice 3-4-year-old stage where you can't decide if you like them or not. That's kind of where I'm at with this account. And we're trying to figure out where we can utilize the different resources that we have and how we can actually continue to grow with this account while also not hurting ourselves in the long run, if that makes sense. All right, so a little over 60 days in, we are at 1 million account power, which is pretty great. We're at level 56 in Arbiter missions because I think that they're very important, especially for newer players. We are at 237 out of the final part 4 of 4. We only need about 50 more missions to go. I do wish that we were quite a bit further along with this. In fact, I actually really wanted to get Arbiter within the first 60 days. That was like a big goal of mine that I wanted to accomplish. So even though we've come quite far, we're not really where I wanted to be. That said, this is, I think, pretty normal, right? Unless you're hardcore, just all in, just going for Arbiter, it's probably going to take a little bit. And that's not me giving an excuse. This is me actually analyzing how other players and other creators and other people have been trying to go through newer free-to-play accounts, and it seems like Arbiter is all over the board, right? Some people get her a lot faster. Some people take 3 months-ish to get her. So I think that said, while I wish we already had her by now, I do plan on, once we do get her on this account, I do plan on doing a challenge where I start a whole new account, fresh, free to play, and we're gonna try to speed run Arbiter. But that's a whole other series or video or whatever, okay? So Arbiter, we're getting there. We're actually pretty far along, but I do wish we were a bit further. A couple of other key areas that if you're a newer account that really is good to look in on is Clan Boss, for one. I don't really pay attention to Hydra, Chimera a lot. I do my keys, I get them done, and I can usually get, some chests here and there. Chimera, I can get the top chest for easy, which is great. It's a good start to move on for. Hydra's really difficult on a newer account because you have to get quite a few champions to be able to get up the damage, deal with all the debuffs and buffs and all that crap. So really, when we're first getting started, we focus in on Demon Lord. Where I'm at personally is Brutal. I'm able to 2-key Brutal. You need to get at least 21.7. I tend to just barely get it, or sometimes some days it's like right below, but we can generally 2-key Brutal. Next goal is to be able to 3-key Nightmare. Now I really want to move into Nightmare. If we could get in there and 1 to 3-key it, it would be perfect. So these next 90 days, I would love to be able to move on to that. Nightmare is really, really important because that's when you can start to get some sacred shards. Before Nightmare, in like Brutal and whatnot, you can't get sacred shards on any of these drops. You have to get to Nightmare, and it has to be the last chest too. You can see you can only get a Void or a Ancient Shard. Yep, and it's just the very last one. So you have to be able to get that last chest on Nightmare to be able to start to get sacreds, and we definitely need the sacreds because we are hurting. We have 1. Another key area for this new account that I think is really good for other newer players to kind of gauge themselves on are fusions and CVCs. So this last fusion we were able to do, which is a big deal because fusions are actually really, really difficult, especially in the first couple of months as a newer free-to-play player. However, I was lucky because this last fusion was Ishiyama and it was a fragment fusion. Fragment fusions tend to be easier than traditional or hybrid fusions, so we were able to do him. We did have a couple of challenges. The biggest one was freaking silver, but we were able to get this old man, and now he's in our account and he's awesome and super helpful for this specific free-to-play account. Getting a guaranteed legendary for a new account is freaking awesome. So we were able to do the previous fusion. That is a big reason why our summoning portal is so low and hurting. We had to use a couple of, strategies to be able to get through the fusion. We had to be really strategic and smart, but we were able to do it. I'm hoping with this next fusion coming up, we haven't had it announced, I don't think. So fusions usually come between a week and a half to 2 weeks apart from each other. So we might be having another fusion here fairly soon-ish, and I would love for this new free-to-play account to be able to do it. That said, as you can see, it's very, very possible that we just have to skip it. Generally, the rule of thumb for new free-to-play accounts is that you can usually do every other fusion. And again, you really want to be careful about going in on a fusion that you don't actually care about, but fusions in general, I think, are just really, really good for new free-to-play accounts. But usually what people will do is they'll go in and they'll try to do one fusion and then skip 1 to 2 and then do the next one. I really want to try to challenge myself and see if we can get 2 fusions in a row, and it's going to be hard. You can see with the resources that we have right now, it'll be really, really difficult, and I'm already trying to start to prep a little bit. We're gathering all of the potions and stuff that we need, whatever, yada yada. I did a whole video about prepping for fusions, especially as a new free-to-play account. We're trying to work on that, or I'm working on it. I'm putting in the work here and there where we can, but it's difficult. And one of the big reasons is because Clan Boss, we can't get those extra sacred shards because we haven't moved on to Nightmare yet. We're starting to. The biggest issue that I face with that, and it's really my own fault, the reason why I haven't moved on with Clan Boss, I'm just keeping it 100%. It's my own fault because I do have the champions that I think could do it. I believe that we have champions that could potentially get us through and help a lot with Clan Boss, but one, some of them I need to 6-star, and 2, it's the gear. So I didn't go in during the previous gear enhancement events. I was just trying to get them done as much as I could with very, very little silver. So I wasn't going through and I was actually, leveling up and upgrading really key pieces of gear that would be very, very helpful for specific champions that are great with Clan Boss. And 2, I wasn't able to level items up to level 16 very, very easily because of how little silver that I have. So I have adjusted my strategy since then, and during the gear enhancement events coming up, I'm definitely going to hone in on getting certain items up to level 16, especially key items that can do really well for specific champions, and also hopefully with champions that are really great for Clan Boss. So if we can get Clan Boss kind of squared away with Nightmare, I would love obviously to get to Ultra Nightmare, but really Nightmare is the main priority goal here, and moving into these next 30 days to get to the 90-day benchmark for this new account. We want to get to Nightmare, and especially obviously get that ultimate chest so that we can get the sacreds. That's huge. We also want to get Arbiter, as I mentioned, and my third biggest goal for this account is to potentially do 2 fusions in a row, which again is very, very difficult, especially if this next fusion is, let's say, a traditional fusion where we're going to have to get a bunch of champions, rares to level up and then turn it into epics, level those up and then turn it into the actual legendary fusion champ. It's a lot more work than a fragment fusion, and you do have to change the strategy up a little bit, but that's my goal. I would love to do that. So we've got Nightmare, Arbiter, and 2 fusions in a row. I don't know if we can do the 2 fusions in a row within these next 30 days. We're just gonna have to kind of play by ear and prep as much as we can, and if we can do it, great, we'll do it and I'll create content around it. But if we can't, we'll be smart. Either way, we'll be smart, we'll analyze it and try to decide from there. Those are the 3 goals that I'd like to go in on for the next 30 days of this account, and also where we are now, so that if, again, you just getting started with a new account, you can kind of gauge where I'm at versus where you're at, and see if, I don't know, maybe you're ahead of me, or maybe there's a couple of key areas that you could have pushed a little bit more in on. Another thing that I wanted to note real quick is campaign. Now, obviously, first 30 days, we were already able to get through and farm up Brimstone Path on 12-3 very easily with Kale, no problems at all. We also went through and 3-starred all of our Brutal campaign because I wanted that Sacred Shard to be able to use for an event. Nightmare, however, I have not spent the time on. I had planned to, but I just realized I just did not have the energy or the time to really go in and get it done. So I've been slowly, hacking away at it here and there, but it hasn't been a high priority. The reason why I bring this up is because if we are able to get through all of Nightmare campaign and 3-star everything, we can get another Sacred Shard. Sacred Shards, I swear to frick, are so hard to get, especially on new accounts. It's just when you can't do the Clan Boss, requirements and get enough high enough up there to get those. We're level 56 right now, but if we can get to the 60 mark, there's another one there too. So we really want to we're trying really hard. We're on the search for sacred. Sacred seem to be, I think, like the #1 issue right now, which is funny because at the 30-day mark, I was saying I don't have enough artifacts. I'm out of artifacts. I made a big mistake and I focused too hard on Arbiter, and then I didn't focus enough on Arbiter missions, and it made it so I didn't get enough artifacts. The whole thing. If you want to go back and watch that video, you can. But bringing that all together and wrapping it all up. Previously at 30 days, I had said that I might have made a mistake. I think I made mistakes on who to 6-star next. I thought I did. In reality, it really didn't. I just needed to go all in on it and not worry about it too much. And secondly, I went back and forth the first 30 days on whether or not I should focus on Arbiter missions. There were times where I was hyper focused on them, and then I realized that they were kind of holding me back a little bit because sometimes they're a little bit tedious, waiting for potion keeps to open up and all of that jazz, and it was just a little bit frustrating. I felt like I wasn't moving the needle forward as much as I wanted to in different areas, and then sometimes I would, pull back a little bit from Arbiter missions because of that reason. And this last 30 days, I didn't go all in. I just kind of just did them in the background whenever it was available and it was when it was easier for me. Like right now, we're stuck on this one because we have to farm up a bunch of gold medals from Arena so that we can get this to level 7 to upgrade it, the bonus to 7. So we're working on it. We're getting there, but it's kind of just a background thing for me right now is Arbiter missions. I want Arbiter so bad. It should make a big difference for this account, but I'm not stressing too hard on it, and I'm not putting my main focus around it, even though it is a big deal for newer accounts. Another reason why we had to kind of, pull back a little bit from Arbiter missions and other little goals from this free-to-play account, and why it's a little bit different from the 30 days versus the 60 days is because of the fusion. The fusion took over a lot for me. It took over all my resources. It took over all of my time, my strategy, my effort. I was so hyper-focused on getting that fusion done, getting our Ishiyama, that that's where a lot of the things went. I don't regret it at all, by the way. I think that some people were like, oh, Ishiyama's not that great for a new free-to-play player, for a new free-to-play account that's only 30 to 60 days in. Ishiyama is great. Not to mention all of the gains that I got from going through each of those events was fantastic. It pushed me to get further along in like dungeons, for example. In dungeons, I often, whenever I go into farm for events, for normal events, I'll just go in and do the bare minimum of what I'm able to do. Like stage 10 for me was Spider previously, but for the events for the fusion, you can get more points by pushing a little bit further along. So I pushed myself to get a little further along. And then of course I tried to align those Arbiter missions with the fusion events as much as I could. And some of them included you having to get to stage 14 for the dungeons. And then the next one is going to be I have to get to stage 20 in order to finish up the Arbiter mission. So that being said, the fusion did help push me. It pushed me to get further along in different areas that I was kind of starting to not necessarily ignore, but get complacent on, where I would just do the bare minimum of what I needed to do for certain events or whatever. The fusion actually made me go, okay, I can get more points if I can get further along at different stages. And also to be able to do those fusion events, those summoning events, I need to get further along, and I need to stop kind of ignoring my clan boss team a little bit. I don't ignore it, I'm working on it, but not as much as I probably should have, you feel me? So fusion was great. It actually helped me realign the account, and also it was just fun. It was just fun to try to strategically get through all the different events and really match it up. So the fusion for me was a big highlight of these last 30 days within this 60-day account update, and it was really huge. And I actually think that it's a great thing for new accounts to go for, and I know that a lot of time we feel discouraged because of the amount of resources that we have and how hard it can really be with energy, with silver, with everything. It's freaking difficult, especially depending on what type of fusion it is, but it's doable. It's doable, and it was a lot of fun too. All right, let's go over our report card real quick. And this, by the way, here's my 30-day report card that we did on the previous video. This is where we were at. So we already went over a lot of this, but we were on hard and Demon Lord. We had a 2 we're up to brutal. We're moving on to Nightmare now. Like I said, with Spider, we were at 10, yada yada. We've tried to move forward quite a bit. This was our 30 days. And then 60 days, here's our report card again, and here's what I did, okay, for each of these report cards. I went in and I wrote in a bunch of notes of where I'm at, and then I went and looked up a bunch of other creators who have published videos on the YouTubes, and I looked and saw where they were made notes, put it all into ChatGPT, and I had it given me a grade. So this is AI generated, including the filter that I have on my face. This isn't really what I look like. Okay, so these grades are ChatGPT based, so take it with a little bit of grace salt, but I thought it'd be a little fun to have a little bit of a report card. Let's see where we're at. So compared to the 30 days, we have moved forward quite a bit. Again, I wrote all of the notes of where I was, what I felt, how I was doing with the different areas, compared it to other people who are doing free-to-play accounts and creating content on it, and we got some grades. There were some areas that could be a bit better, but overall we did better than the first 30 days. The first 30 days, I think we were able to gain a little bit more focus, but also I think that we strategically were able to figure out, okay, here's our strengths, here's our weaknesses of the account, which ones do we need to maybe grow on and really hone in on and fix, really figure out what's going to help our account grow the most. And I've explained that all previously, talking about how we switched up back and forth with the Arbiter missions, I literally couldn't decide the first 30 days what to freaking focus on. And then during the next 30 days, up to the 60-day point, we did put Arbiter a little bit on the back end and focused in on that fusion, which was freaking fantastic. We do have 6 6-star champions, which is, I think, pretty good for 60 days in. That's not too bad. I mean, that averages out to 1 a week. It obviously didn't equal 1 a week, but it averages out to about that much, which again, I don't think is that bad. Having 6 60s, one of them's not fully leveled up yet, so 6 6-star champions is not too bad. Shards, obviously, we could be doing a whole lot better, but we've only been pulling during high events. We've been really careful about where we use our resources. Another one that I think that is actually really not accurately a good grade from ChatGPT was actually masteries. So my masteries, I only have 2 champions that are maxed out with their masteries, and that's Kale and Supreme Gallic. But I didn't realize that I was falling behind a little bit on masteries until I saw this report card and went, oh, I only have 2 champs that are fully done. Some of them are close, but I need to get them done. So I don't think we're a B+. I actually would say we're probably more like a C-, maybe. I don't know. You can give me your opinion on that. But yes, that was probably one of the biggest ones that I would have said is very, very off for ChatGPT. Even though I appreciate it, the B+, thank you, I would probably say we could do a lot better with that. I also liked ChatGPT gave me some notes, said what's holding you back from an A tier rating is mainly tag team arena, which I feel like a lot of people put on the back end. So you know, I'm not too upset about it, but yeah, I could be better about it. True. Gear progression, especially when it comes to leveling them up, which I talked about earlier during gear enhancement events. I was just trying to get the gear enhancement events done so I can get the points needed, like for the fusion, for example. And I didn't go in and get as many really good artifacts that I could probably use on some of my champions and get them to level 16. So yes, I do agree with that. Gear progression is definitely a big one for me. And then because we have some decent artifacts now, especially compared to those first 30 days, we're getting some better artifacts over time as we're getting all of these events done and going through and doing all of our dungeons, right? But you know, they're not leveled. Like nothing's leveled. Nothing's leveled at all. I need to go in and maybe get some of these to level 8, see where it lands, and then, you know, push them to level 16 and really go get those awesome pieces on the champions to help them get a little bit further and do what they can do. Yes, I think that was accurate. Gear progression needs to be better. Tavern and champion growth pace. It's funny because I was just talking about how I feel like having 6 6-star champions is great, and ChatGPT is telling me that I should have more, which I feel like is like a common sentiment among all of us Raid Shadow Legends player, that we should have more. More is just of everything, of energy, of gems, of silver. Oh my gosh, silver, of 6-star champions. Yes, more is better. Hopefully I've laid this out in a very straightforward way so that if you are a newer free-to-play player, you can get a good idea of where I'm at, where you're at, and maybe some areas where you could improve, but also maybe you've seen some areas that I could improve on. If you've been following along with this free-to-play process as we've created other videos on it, I just want to say thank you. Please drop a comment. Let me know where you're at, if you're at around 60 days in your free-to-play account, or if you remember where you were at. I would love to know so that I can kind of gauge moving forward where I am, how I need to improve, right? There's plenty of areas to kind of work on, but go ahead and give me a grade of your own. Let me know how you think this is doing. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, there's plenty of different areas that we could improve on and do better on, but it's okay because we recognize it and we're going to pivot and change it and continue to adjust and work towards our goals moving forward. Very goal-oriented here, and hopefully you found this helpful. Appreciate your time today. Good luck on your free-to-play account. Don't forget to get the link down below if you're thinking about starting a brand new account. It's helpful, trust me. I started out with the link in the beginning, and even though we got different champions now, freaking awesome champions down the link, I started out this account with that, and it was super freaking helpful. So please feel free to utilize that. Have an amazing freaking day. Keep killing it, and I'll see ya.